the ever so popular tourist location and sprawling capital of Japan. In this video, I'm going to the places I visited in Tokyo, grabbing some amazing souffle pancakes, matcha pudding, sukiyaki, and of course checking out the Nintendo store. Starting off in Shibuya, I went to one of my favorite places on this trip, called Sukiyaki Chikayo. With an extremely simple menu, you choose between a mini, premium, or diamond set. The set you choose determines your portion size of meat, and each set comes with a bowl of rice, miso soup, some pickled vegetables, and of course a raw egg to dip your meat in. I got the premium set, which comes with about 140 grams of meat, and I watched as they cooked the meat in front of me. The nice fattiness of the meat dipped in the creamy egg made for a perfect combination to pair with the rice. I think the hardest part of this meal was savoring every single bite with my rice and contemplating if I wanted to add more meat or not at the end. And of course, after finishing all of my meat, I still had some leftover egg and a bit of rice left over. So I thought the best thing to do here was pour the rest of my egg yolk onto my rice, mix it up, and enjoy it as it is. Honestly, that was a pretty smart decision because the egg had all of the fattiness and the sauce from the meats, so just adding it onto the rice just made it like a really nice topping of sorts to enjoy the rest of the rice with, instead of just eating plain rice by itself. Since I was in Tokyo, I had to check out the Nintendo Tokyo store. Even though they do have one now in San Francisco, all of the stores are a little bit unique and sell slightly different items, so it's always great to check out all of the different stores that you possibly can. Walking around Shibuya, I realized it was quite easy to get lost. Huh, would you look at that? Lost Bar is probably a must visit if you're looking for a unique bar experience in the middle of Tokyo. Opened by the YouTuber Abroad in Japan, each cocktail is comedically named or named after a specific phrase that was said in one of his many videos. I got the Life is Balloons, which is a cocktail made of orange juice and gin, and I also got the spicy senbei crackers to enjoy with my drink. I made the fatal mistake of not eating before coming here, and because of that, the cocktail did hit me harder than I was expecting to. I was planning to try another cocktail or two as well, but because of how hard the first one hit me, I thought that would be it. The Life is Balloons cocktail is really delicious, but also quite dangerous as well because of how easy it is to drink, and the alcohol doesn't really hit you until probably a little bit later on. Next up, I went to Tonkatsu Omotesando, serving up some amazing tonkatsu. I was lucky enough to get seated as part of the last group of the day before they closed for their lunch service. Depending on the day you go, they'll have pork from different areas of Japan. Their menu will show you which area the pork is from, and as well as what cuts they have available. Typically, you can choose from 2 sizes of pork loin, the ribeye, or a combination of pork loin and cutlet. Each meal comes with miso soup, rice, and of course a bed of cabbage. I got the larger order of pork loin, which came with 180 grams of meat, and each order is freshly fried in front of you in their open kitchen counter style seating. When I got seated, there was another foreigner as well as 2 elderly Japanese who were pretty happily chatting with the chef and I'm assuming the owner of this place. At one point of their conversation, the chef turned to me and the other foreigner, looked at the server that was behind us, and asked them to translate everything that they were talking about to us because it seemed like we were pretty interested in hearing about why they're so engaged in that conversation. This really made the experience a lot more memorable and wholesome because I learned a bit more about the shop, and I also learned that there were some celebrities that actually visited the shop just to enjoy some tonkatsu, which kind of stressed the chef out. Now heading towards Harajuku Station from the tonkatsu shop, you will be able to find a Chiikawa bakery. The bakery itself does require a reservation for a specific time slot which you can enter, but they also have a little shop on the side that anyone can go into. Next in Shinjuku, I got some roast beef ramen at Menya Nishikawa. The shop is a bit out of the way from the main tourist areas, but it is worth trying if you want a slightly different take of the typical ramen that you'll get. The broth was super flavorful and the ramen makes for a really great meal that doesn't make you feel too heavy afterwards. Thick slices of beef tongue is generally harder to find at restaurants where I live, which brings me to my next stop, Gyutang Lemon. This is a branch with multiple locations and they specialize in, well, beef tongue. Similar to the other meals I've had on this trip, my meal came with a bowl of rice, salad, soup, and they also gave a beef curry and some grated yam to enjoy with your beef tongue. The beef tongue is perfectly grilled and the thickness of each piece gave it a really nice chew to it. Chatting with some of the workers, I also learned that Gyuchang Lemon will be opening up some shops here in California. And I really can't wait to try out those shops once they open just to see how they compare with the one I had in Japan. Making my way north to Ikebukuro, I visited a cafe called Chenoma. With some indoor seating and what I'm assuming is tatami mats, as well as outdoor seating, this is a really great place to visit, especially if you're trying to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city life. Of course, I got a latte and tried their green tea terrine, which is like a no-bake cake. And honestly, if I lived around the area, I would probably go here pretty often, just given the atmosphere and how relaxing it is just being inside. The terrine was also a really nice surprise given how subtle the sweetness was, and it just made for really great desserts. Heading away from Ikebukuro and towards Otsuka Station, I tried the very popular onigiri or rice ball shop, Onigiri Bango. I arrived about 15 minutes before they opened and was lucky enough that there wasn't much of a line. While waiting in line, someone did come out to give everyone a cup of green tea as well as a menu, just as a way of thanking everyone for waiting in line and for being so patient while they were getting ready to open up. With a menu fully in Japanese and a large variety of items to choose from, as someone that doesn't know Japanese, it was pretty hard to choose what items I wanted to try and what each one actually was. Thankfully, after doing some translating, I got the salmon onigiri as well as a fried chicken with mayonnaise onigiri. I also saw on the menu that if you ordered 2 onigiris and you paid 100 yen, you could get a bowl of mushroom miso soup or tofu miso soup to enjoy with your meal, and the miso soup itself can be refilled for free. Since I went during the summertime, getting the miso soup was probably not the best idea because this is a very small shop with no AC. They do have a few fans blowing at the customers, but it's really not enough to get away from the heat of the summer. So while the second bowl of miso soup did sound nice, I decided to stick to 1 bowl of miso soup because I was already sweating buckets by the time I was heading out. The onigiri were stuffed with filling, and I think I enjoyed the fried chicken onigiri a little bit more than the salmon one. By the time I finished, there was already a longer line outside. If you were waiting maybe 15 to 20 minutes, I would definitely recommend giving this place a try because the onigiri were really great and the service was really fast as well. But keep in mind that onigiri is a pretty common food in Japan, so there are definitely a lot more shops to go to if you don't get a chance to visit this one specifically. Moving to a more tourist heavy location, I find myself in Asakusa early in the morning to grab some breakfast. At this spot, if you want to get a seat as early as possible, you do have to start lining up at 7 a.m. just to get a reservation at 9 a.m. You also get a slip of paper along with the number of people in your party and the number of dishes that you can order. Make sure you don't lose this paper, otherwise you probably won't get a reservation. The place I'm talking about is Benizuru Pancake, and if you couldn't guess from the name itself, they specialize in souffle pancakes. Because it was breakfast time, I got their bacon and eggs with hollandaise sauce or just eggs benedict souffle pancake. This comes with 3 fluffy stacks of souffle pancakes, 2 thick slices of bacon, and a nicely cooked egg on top, with some hollandaise sauce poured all around it. Not only does this look good, it actually does taste pretty amazing with the combination of ingredients. Eggs Benedict is something that I've started enjoying more and more as the years go by. This version of Eggs Benedict might be my favorite way of enjoying this dish, just given how nice and fluffy the pancakes were, paired up with the hollandaise sauce that they had. While the seating system might seem a bit excessive, it's probably also a good way to prepare ahead of time, because typically souffle pancakes, the preparation time and cooking takes about 20-30 minutes depending on the location. It's just a way of the restaurant being able to prepare and serve as many customers as possible throughout the day. And this is also a great way to explore Asakusa afterwards, after enjoying some amazing breakfast. Since I was already in Asakusa in the morning, walking around the Shinjuku temple was not a bad idea given how little people there actually was. Leaving Asakusa behind and going to Sumida City where the Tokyo Skytree is located, I got a little bit lucky at the Pink Puffball Kirby Cafe. So to back things up, I initially thought the website said no reservations are needed, they do accept walk-ins, but by the time I showed up without a reservation, the worker there said, I don't know what you're talking about. But they were nice enough to speak with their manager, I'm assuming, to see if it would be possible to give me a seat, even without a reservation. Luckily, when I went onto the website, there was one single reservation left at the time I was there, so I was able to grab the reservation and get seated. While I'm editing this, I also realized I didn't take too many photos or videos of the interior, which was kind of a waste because the inside was really nicely decorated and summer themed. I mean, just check out this guy. On the menu, they do have a nice variety of foods to choose from, such as pizza, hamburgers, curries, and some seasonal items. Even though it was summer and I was craving a cold drink, I couldn't resist getting a hot latte because you get to choose the latte art on top. Of course, I went with Chef Kirby on a floaty because, I mean, it's pretty summer themed, right? For the latte and maybe some other drinks as well, if you pay extra, you can also keep the cup and bring home. Of course, you're not just bringing home the one that you just drank out of, they do give you a brand new one. And, I mean, look at this. How can you resist? Honestly, I don't regret this decision. While the pizza did look tempting and I wanted to bring home the plate, I instead went for Chef Kawasaki's roasted duck with marmalade sauce, as well as an order of the fried dough. Honestly, I only got the fried dough with the presentation. It comes with a side of honey and spicy powder as well, but I think once you take a few bites, you'll probably get tired of it. While I don't know about Kirby's cooking skills, I think Chef Kawasaki did a great job with the roasted duck. The orange marmalade sauce paired really well with the dish and actually gave it a really nice refreshing summer feel to it. Normally themed cafes don't have the best food, but I think the roasted duck that I got here was really delicious and I would definitely recommend getting it if you come here while they have the summertime menu. After inhaling all of that food, I needed some way to digest, and what better way to do that than to go to the Skytree Pokemon Center. This may be my favorite Pokemon Center only because their mascot Pokemon is Rayquaza. Rayquaza was my favorite Pokemon growing up, especially because Pokemon Emerald was the very first Pokemon game I owned and played. I spent many hours on that, and while I did lose a legendary, not gonna say which one, Rayquaza was one of my favorite Pokemon because of the design and how intimidating it looked. After satisfying the inner kid in me, I headed over to the next place called Sapin. Not really sure how this is pronounced. This little cafe was a bit out of the way, but I would highly recommend checking this place out if you do get a chance. Here I got a matcha latte and matcha pudding, which came with a vanilla ice cream on top, as well as some little matcha sauce on the side. The matcha latte was nice and refreshing, and the pudding itself had a really strong matcha flavor. Because the pudding itself wasn't very sweet, the ice cream itself kind of balances out the sweetness of the two, making it a really great dessert, especially for a hot summer afternoon. Even if you're not here for the pudding, the cafe does have a really nice atmosphere, which made it a perfect place to study, read a book, or get some work done if you need to. After taking a nice break at a cafe, Akihabara, the electric town, is the next stop on this list. This is one of the must-visit places for anyone that enjoys anime, and if you walk down the streets, you could probably see why. If you walk down the streets, there are multiple shops selling anime figures, video games, from retro ones to new ones as well. Continuing the theme of this video, I went to get some gyukatsu, which is a steak cutlet at Gyukatsu Ichini-san. I ordered the large size gyukatsu, which came with a whopping 260 grams of meat. Typically, gyukatsu is a little bit undercooked, and you get a little grill in front of you on your table so that you can finish the grilling process yourself and go to whatever temperature that you want it to. Since I like my steaks medium rare, I only had to put the steaks on the little grill for just a few seconds on each side, and they were perfectly done. Gyukatsu is a really nice meal to enjoy every once in a while. which may be a little bit harder to find here in California. Now taking a break from the city life and trying my luck at seeing Mount Fuji for the first time, I took a 2.5-hour bus ride from Tokyo to Lake Yamanaka. Doing a little bit of research, I saw that this place has a really nice view of Mount Fuji, and I was hoping for the best, especially because the last few days I was in Tokyo, it was a bit cloudy and overcast. Unfortunately, luck was not on my side and I did not get to see Mount Fuji whatsoever. But that didn't stop me from enjoying my time at the lake. Around the bus stop, there was a few vendors renting out bikes from regular pedal bikes to electric ones. I was hoping to rent a bike for maybe 3 to 4 hours if possible, and the vendor that I went to initially said 2 hours at most because there was a storm coming, but after discussing some more and double checking the weather forecast, they decided to go with 3 hours instead of the 2 hours originally. I paid around 2,700 yen for the bike rental for the 3 hours. Not too bad, and I also got the electric bike just to make it a little bit easier for myself because I haven't biked in a very long time. Luckily, even though it was summer, it was a lot cooler at the lake, making it the perfect weather for biking, especially coming from California. The lake circumference is 14 kilometers or about 8.7 miles and takes about 1.5 hours to 2 hours according to their websites in order to bike around the whole lake. So the 3 hours that I got was enough time for me to go all around the lake, make a few stops along the way, take some pictures, and stop by one specific place. After cycling for about 15 minutes, I arrived at the park. This is a really nice cafe on the side of the road overlooking the lake, and on a nice clear day, you can even get a nice view of Mount Fuji. And unfortunately, my view wasn't so great today, but I still enjoyed my time. There are plenty of foods to choose from, ranging from a lot of savory to a lot of sweets as well. But I came here to enjoy their souffle pancakes. So I ordered the tiramisu pancake, which came with 2 stacks of souffle pancakes with some cream, powdered chocolate, and a side of espresso to drizzle on top. The mild sweetness from the chocolate powder and the bitterness from the espresso gave it a really nice balance. I would definitely recommend stopping by, especially if you come on a good day. You do get to see Mount Fuji while you're eating as well. After finishing my pancake, I went back to biking around the lake and also got caught up in the rain. Yeah, so right now I'm kind of in the middle of the rain. The direction I'm heading over is a bit cloudy. I stopped in the middle for now. I'm hoping to wait for the rain to pass. For me, it took about 1.5 hours to bike around the entire lake. But it's really nice getting away from the city. It's a nice day trip. And behind me right over there would be Mount Fuji if we could see it on a clear day. I think biking around the lake was really nice and enjoyable because you get a change of scenery. It would also be a really good one-day trip away from Tokyo just to get some nature as well. Part of the road was also included in the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Road, and they also had a monument at a specific spot on the road that you can put your bike onto. On a clear day, you'll see Mount Fuji in the background, so you can get a nice picture of Mount Fuji and your bike on the monuments. Since I got back to Shinjuku, I thought it would be a good opportunity to check out a restaurant I've been hearing more about called Dap's Famous Hood Joint, famous for their American-style chopped cheese sandwich. Stepping inside, it felt like I was going to New York City with how they decorated the place. It was a really great spot and kind of unexpected how good the sandwiches are. Unfortunately, by the time this video comes out, I think the original location has closed down, at least according to Google Maps. If you do want to try checking this place out, maybe do some research first because I'm not too sure what the current situation is of this restaurant at the moment. In this video, we've gone through multiple areas around Tokyo, but there's still one final place I haven't talked about just yet. Heading to Ginza, I stopped by one very popular place called Age 3, I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced, or H3. I don't think it's H3, I think it's Age 3 or something like that, known for their fried sandwiches. Yeah, you heard that right. This shop basically fries their bread to give it a nice crispy exterior and then fills it with either sweet cream to make it into a dessert or makes it into a very savory sandwich. I went with one of their more popular items, which is just whipped cream and powdered sugar on top. And I've gotta say, while I'm not such a huge fan of whipped cream in sandwiches, especially after this trip, I think this was pretty amazing. And it's kind of surprising how well it goes together, but it's also definitely not something that you want to eat every single day. While I did enjoy the whipped cream sandwich, I thought the savory ones looked a little bit more tempting. So I got myself a fried egg sandwich to enjoy as well. And honestly, you just can't go wrong with this. Nice fluffy eggs inside a fried piece of bread. There's just really no going wrong with this, especially if you like egg sandwiches itself. This just brings it into a whole new level. If you don't have much of a sweet tooth, I would definitely recommend trying one of the savory fried sandwiches instead. It's still worth trying, even though they're not as popular for their savory options than they are with their sweet options. Now for the final spot, I got some creme brulee tarts at Brulee Marise, located inside Tokyo Station. I went there early in the morning because I had a flight to catch later in the afternoon just to grab some of these tarts that they had a limited supply of each day. I also paid extra to get a cooling bag because I needed to make sure these stayed fresh for as long as possible. The creme brulee tarts came in a pack of 3 and makes for a really nice treat. Even though it's creme brulee, I thought the amount of sweetness was just tolerable, but I do recommend sharing one because these are pretty big by itself and you can split one in half pretty easily to share with someone else. And with that ends my food adventure in Tokyo. While I still haven't seen Mount Fuji, I thought Lake Yamanaka was still a great one-day trip, especially to get away from the city and to get some nature. I did get quite lucky on this trip, such as being seated as part of the last group in the tonkatsu restaurant and getting a last-minute reservation at Kirby Cafe, and I really did enjoy all of the places that I went to on this trip in this video. For those of you that have watched all the way to the end, thank you so much for your support, and I do hope that you get to enjoy some of these places if you ever visit Tokyo yourself. Hey there, before you go, did you know that Tokyo was just the last place I went to on my trip? I also went to Hokkaido, Aomori, and Hachinohe, and you can see those videos on the screen now, assuming I did my editing properly. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.